Vegan.
1, 2.
Free. Welcome to the Vegan 123 show with me, Berty Justice, going out online at soundartradio.org, or if you're in the local area, 102.5 FM. The first track for today is El Toro by Bonobo. So in today's show, what I'm going to be doing is covering lots of topics about veganism. And by this, what I mean is that there are questions and common points that people make to vegans, and the speaker, Earthling Ed, and activist Earthling Ed, has accumulated all of these 30 points that get raised and put them into an ebook for people, a free download ebook for people to top up on, because not everybody knows all the answers. It's like a useful tool for people. And also someone else I met has made a sort of condensed A4 version of it. So you have a full book by Earthling Ed, and then you have a condensed sheet that you can refer to, both of which are on my blog. So just type Berty Justice's blog and then put Earthling Ed after it. Or you can go to Ed's website. He has Patreon on there for people who want to support his work. He has loads of amazing videos, and also the person who made the small condensed version. It's really great that they were putting this free information out there. So what I have is a former peanut butter tub. For the people listening, you can hear the paper rustling. And in that Meridian tub is the 30 points that get raised to vegans, and I will be taking them out one by one and giving my explanation of them. Sometimes I'll give a short explanation or an answer, and then other times I'll give a longer explanation or answer. And today's show the music that I'll be dropping in between these topics will be more from Bonobo. There's going to be some music from Ed Solo, there's going to be music from Mumford & Sons, and there will also be some tracks from Kings of Leon. So, without further ado, I'm going to pull out the first topic. Right, so first topic says, everything in moderation. So this is a point that gets brought up to vegans, saying, it'd be alright, just eat a little bit of meat, eat a little bit of dairy. And I've even heard people say it about cigarettes and alcohol, just, it'd be alright in moderation. The problem with eating animal products is that there are victims involved. And so when you buy animal products, you are funding a system. I used to do that as well. When we do that, we are funding a system that is systematically oppressing animals, ending their lives short, separating them from their families, artificial insemination, using gas chambers. And to use the notion of in moderation is insane, really. It's kind of like, they eat dogs in Asia, but it's all right if they just do it in moderation. Or bullfighting. Bullfighting's all right. It's all right in moderation. We can just kill sharks, but, in moderation. You see the insanity of that statement, the illogical nature of it. And the reality is that when there's victims involved, it shouldn't be done in moderation. It should never be done at all. So, round one. Next question. It's extreme, expensive, and difficult to be vegan. So, three points there. It's extreme. So veganism is about not hurting animals. A little bit like racism, where you don't discriminate against other people who have a different colour skin to you. The same as women rights, the same as LGBT rights. What it means is that you're being fair to everyone. And so do those people who use the same term extreme, do they use that against people who are anti-racist, saying, it's a bit extreme to not be racist. But bringing it back to the animal rights issue, the vegan issue, the vegan lifestyle, not hurting animals, not forcing them in gas chambers, not artificially inseminating them. So for anyone listening who doesn't know what artificial insemination is, it means where farmers violate the sex organs of animals to get them to breed against their will in a lot of cases. And to me, that's extreme. To not do it is like, that's just the baseline. That should be the norm. But to confine animals, to end their lives young, to put them in gas chambers, to put them in vats of water, that's extreme. So the onus isn't on the vegans, it's actually on the non-vegans. Anyone who is non-vegan is supporting and keeping afloat a system that is oppressing animals and uses gas chambers. It's expensive to be a vegan. Well, that's not true. It doesn't have to be. If you want it to be expensive, if you want to buy vegan caviar, if you want to buy the most expensive vegan burgers on the market, you want to eat out every night in restaurants and get a takeaway Beyond Burger with extra fries and vegan milkshakes and vegan pizza with vegan pizza on top, and then more vegan pizza, and then get extremely expensive products shipped from all over the world, the most expensive vegan products you can. That would be expensive, but the most cheapest foods in the world are generally rice, pasta, bread, fruits and vegetables. And so if you choose to cook from scratch, make pasta sauces, make risottos, make stews, make curries, make soups, make your own breads, make your own vegan omelettes, all these things which are very easy to find online. Just Google or YouTube a video of how to make those dishes. All those dishes, when you make them from scratch, are generally cheaper than the more processed and more expensive vegan foods. And so it doesn't have to be expensive. It's difficult to be a vegan. So I think that's a lie. So most people I know, when they buy food, it's either in a shop or a restaurant. So they've already got the trolley or they've already got a basket. And so they're already in a vicinity where there's vegan food. And most restaurants, if they want to make money nowadays, will have a vegan option. So here's my menu. So the only thing, this is how difficult it is, you have to move your eyes from there to there and look for a vegan option. Obviously it's not difficult. People have this weird psychology that they believe it's harder than it actually is. So walking down a different part of the supermarket when you're already there, or looking down the menu, is not difficult. But for some people, the thinking about doing it is difficult. Right, next one. One person can't make a difference. So this is a common thing that gets raised up, but it's just not true. Each year, each human being, generally in the UK, eats 3 meals a day. You times that by 365 days and plus your snacks. And the meals comes to 1,095 meals. So I've been vegan for 10 years, so that comes to 10,000 meals. If I can get one person to go vegan, that's 1,000 meals for every year that they are vegan. Let's say it's 40 years, so that's 40,000 for them. And then if I'm alive for 40 or 50 more years, so that'll be another 60. So between me and somebody else, that's 100,000 meals. So that is a difference. And ultimately, veganism isn't necessarily about making a difference. You will make a difference, but really it's about the victims and taking ourselves out of a system that is oppressing and killing these animals when we biologically don't need to. Right, bit of a delve into here. What have we got? So, next one is, it's the circle of life. Gary Yourofsky says an interesting return to this. He says, no, the current system is the circle of death and suffering and pain and blood and guts and gore and violence. The circle of life is a notion, is also a line that gets used from the film Lion King. And so when we kill animals, it's not a circle of life. But even if it was, let's say that this circle of life is real, we don't have to carry on killing animals, especially when the current system of animal agriculture is destroying the oceans, is destroying the planet, is using more resources. Just don't do it. There's no such thing as a circle of life, and you can choose, if it is real, just choose not to be a part of it. The real circle of life is allowing animals to have the full of their life, not ending their life short. What have we got? You can't be 100% vegan. So this is kind of a notion that people say, like, you can't be 100% vegan, so there's no point. And I suppose the whole world is never going to be 100% not racist. So what's the point in me not being racist? It's a crazy, not crazy, but it's an insane way, an illogical way of looking at things. Technically, you can't be 100% vegan unless you live under a tree in a field where you don't step on grass because you might step on an ant. But actually, that's not going to happen because there's 8 billion people and on this planet, or nearly 8 billion, and not everyone's going to do that, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, when you go back to the roots of veganism, the actual words that I've talked about on this show before, the original philosophy says, do the best you can, basically. It's a non-vegan world at the moment. Not every product is 100% vegan. There might even be some, there's a window just there, and there might be some animal products in the glass. That doesn't mean that I should go and buy some veal and punch a cow. Do you know what I mean? It means that the current system has some animal products in, but as people wake up and realise that it doesn't make any sense to kill animals or use animals anymore, then these products will change and we'll get a more vegan world. And it's not a 100% or nothing. It's do your best. It's do the best you can with what you've got at the moment. So next one. So morality is subjective. So this line gets used when people say, so morality is kind of like what we deem as right and wrong. This is my interpretation of morality. That's not morally right to do that. That is the morally right thing to do. Yes, to a certain extent, morality is subjective. So for me, certain laws I don't think are moral, but then somebody else would say, no, that law is moral, or vice versa. I'll say that this law is moral, and they'll have a different view on the same thing. But this is kind of like a lot of these topics, we're getting away from the actual core issue. We're talking about these hypotheticals, these notions of circles of life and stuff like that, when we need to just hone in on the victims. And is it morally acceptable in the UK to put pigs and chickens into gas chambers? Is it morally right to kill baby chicks after a couple of days? Is it morally right to artificially inseminate a cow when we don't need to, and steal away their babies and break up families in lots of different animals and kill trillions of fish every year as a species on this planet? Is that morally acceptable? I mean, obviously not. It's insanity. Maybe morality is subjective, but that doesn't mean we have to keep forcing animals into gas chambers. Next one is, animals don't feel pain and don't suffer the same as we do. So that could be true. Me and a pig and a dog, our nervous system. So if we were to cut my leg off, cut all three of us have our legs cut off, my pain threshold might be higher than the pigs and the dogs. And similarly, like when I sweat, it comes out my armpits, and when a dog sweat, it comes out of its tongue. So we feel things slightly different. But that doesn't, because we're different, doesn't mean we should grant them like less of a right to live. Do you know what I mean? That's discrimination. That's like that group over there. They're a different species. Therefore, we shouldn't grant them the rights to life. Who cares about their milk? We should steal all their milk. By saying these things, like by creating this discrimination, by creating this separation, it allows for us to do these atrocities to animals when we biologically don't need to eat them. So they might feel pain slightly differently than we do, but they do still feel pain. They do. We know that they do. Even if animals didn't, I think we should grant, like there are certain fish that it's still up for debate if they feel the same pain. Just grant them the same benefit of the doubt and just don't cut them, don't eat them, don't force them into gas chambers, and then don't sell them in a shop. Right, next one. What we got here? What we got? Soya farming is destroying the environment. Interestingly, most of the animals on the planet, like the cows, let's say, the ones that are factory farmed, so when I mean factory farmed, it means that they're not grazing on natural land. And one of the reasons that factory farming has taken off so much is because it's a more economical, faster way of growing and fattening up these animals with feed. And if you look into it, one of the biggest crops that is fed to cows and chickens and some pigs, but definitely cows and chickens, is soya. So if soya is destroying the environment, then let's not feed it to the cows in the first place. And it's kind of like focusing on soya is ignoring the whole picture. So if we look at the oceans, soya and vegans are not destroying the oceans. Fishing and trawler nets and just fishing in general, and overfishing actually, which is the current system, is destroying the oceans. And for anyone who wants to debate whether we're destroying the oceans, go watch Seaspiracy and let me know what you think about what we're doing to the oceans and fish in general. So soya farming is destroying the environment. No, not just soya, but humans. Humans are destroying the environment, and animal agriculture is one of the leading destructive things that we can change. We can. I can't see a world where we don't have electricity, but I can see a world where we don't eat dead animals and animal products that are uneconomical uses of resources. And interestingly, you can grow soya more environmentally friendly. They even do it in Europe for those who are saying, oh, when people have soya milk that's imported and soya products are being sent over from South America. Well, not necessarily. If you buy certain products from Europe that have European soya beans, then you won't have that problem. Right, I am going to play another track now, and I'm just going to get my list of dreams. So, this one is called True Love Way and is by the Kings of Leon. This one says, Hitler was a vegetarian. I once knew a vegan who wasn't very nice. Okay, so straight off the bat, Hitler wasn't a vegetarian, and there is evidence to show that one of his favourite foods was an animal product, was squab. I think it's like a goose or some sort of, it's a bird, it's like a duck kind of thing. Even if he was, he's not a vegan. So no one has ever said, oh, Hitler was a vegan. So I'm not defending vegetarians. I think that vegetarians is a step in the right direction, but it's a good first step, if you know what I mean. But it's not the end goal. And so Hitler wasn't a vegan, so that's a non-argument. I once knew a vegan who wasn't very nice. I mean, okay, I've met lots of meat eaters who weren't very nice, so therefore everyone shouldn't be a meat eater because it makes you not nice. Basically that's a generalization and a sweeping statement that they've had a bad experience, or maybe they didn't feel that the vegan was very nice. But that isn't the whole of the vegan community, and so it's a generalization. You can't just tar the whole group with one person. There's lots of really weird people who aren't very nice who eat meat. So, just think of an extreme, weird, violent person who doesn't eat meat. Do they sort of represent all meat eaters, or do they just represent themselves and they eat meat? Similarly to all the vegans who some people might not think are very nice, they don't represent us all. Right, next one. What have we got? So, our ancestors ate animals. We evolved by eating animals. So, going to address this one point at a time. Our ancestors did eat meat. Yes, they did. That's not really a debate. There is research to say that there were certain people in the world who didn't necessarily eat meat, but for the sake of this, I'm going to say that our ancestors did eat meat. But that's not a reason to carry on doing it. For those listening now, look around the room that you're in. You're probably listening to this on a phone or a TV or a computer, all of which our ancestors did not do. Unless you're listening to this naked, you're probably wearing clothes and socks, which our ancestors probably didn't do. And so I don't believe it's a good way. I think we can look at history and look at our ancestors and learn from them, but the things that we don't agree with, let's say like cannibalism or genocides and mass murders, all those stuff that is not good, we can look at that and make an objective decision not to carry that on. Similarly, eating animals for me fits into that category of something that needs to be in the past. Stabbing animals, ending their lives young when we biologically don't need to eat them, is something that we need to change. And it begins with us. We change the market as individuals. We evolved by eating animals. Again, maybe we did. Maybe not. Maybe there's some evidence to say that part of our evolution came from, what was it? It was like certain carbohydrates, potatoes, or some plant food, basically. But the thing is about science is it's always evolving. It doesn't stop today. It doesn't stop at that point. But for the sake of this, yes, we evolved by eating animals. Part of our evolution was eating humans and genocides and wars, but because it happened in the past doesn't mean we need to carry it on. If you look into animal products, if you look into the hormones, if you look into people like Dr. Bernard who are helping people reverse type 2 diabetes by taking out animal products, or how the World Health Organization said that processed meat is a group 1 carcinogen which causes cancer. They said that red meat is a group 2A, group 2 carcinogen, which means probably causes cancer. So we evolved, the notion that we evolved to eat by eating animals. So what we're doing now is we're damaging ourselves. We're putting carcinogenic, cancer-causing products into our bodies when we don't need to. Just choose not to. Anyone who doesn't smoke because they don't want to get cancer, use that same thinking when you look at an animal product. Think, go check out what the World Health Organization is saying and use the same thinking as why you don't smoke to avoid the risk of cancer. Don't eat animal products for that same reason. Right, next one. So, what have we got? We have, isn't being vegetarian enough? Like I said earlier, vegetarian is a good step in the right direction, but it still involves dairy, and it still involves eggs, and it still involves bees' honey. And all of those industries involve suffering and death. And like people say, oh no, dairy, you know, they don't kill the animals. Well, dairy cows are, they're bred, they are forced to breed. Again, so the thing is about every time you drink milk, that's from a mum who just gave birth. Do you know what I mean? Or in fact, some of them are like pregnant at the same time. It's just weird. Yes, it is a good step. It's a good step in the right direction, but it's not enough because there's still cruelty. There's still cruelty in milk. There's still cruelty in every animal product. Just don't eat it. Don't buy it. Don't consume it. Go vegan. Right, next one. We're carnivores with canine teeth. Interesting, that one. Interesting, but not true. So a lot of what I've read says that we're omnivorous. Other people have said that we're herbivorous. We're definitely not carnivores. People don't survive by just eating meat. But ignore all of that. So I haven't eaten animal products for 10 years. I know people who haven't eaten animal products for 30 years. I know people who are vegan from birth. We don't need to eat animals. It doesn't matter if it was an omnivore or herbivore. And the thing is about omnivores is they have a choice. They can eat meat. We can eat meat. I can punch people. I can be racist. But I'm just not going to do any of that because it makes more sense not to. Canine teeth is a useless argument. So yeah, if we do have canine teeth, then we should be able to eat dogs more regularly. You know what I mean? You wouldn't have an argument with me eating a dog or drinking some cat milk because we're biologically, we're designed to drink cat milk. Those are crazy ideas and crazy examples. But the canine teeth one is really insane because there are lots of, off the top of my head, it's like hippos and narwhal, which is this, it's like a unicorn, it's a fish, like a big, I think it might be a fish or a mammal anyway. Basically it has this like long canine tooth. Hippos have massive canines, like sometimes like 6 or 7 inches long. It's like, they have massive canines, but they eat plants. Having canines doesn't mean you should eat meat. Having a brain means you need to think about where the animal products have come from and deciding if it was a dog, would you still eat it? And if not, then you have to go vegan, or you should go vegan. Right, next one. God says that we can eat animals. Interesting, that one. Interesting. So I'm agnostic, for those listening and who don't know, which means I'm waiting for some proof that there is a God, or gods, or goddesses, or whatever else we want to call them. Until that point, I don't believe there is a God. Also, if there was a God, they have created, so I'm a human being, let's say let's say God exists. I was created by God. I haven't eaten animal products for 10 years. So God has made it, me and humans, an ability to not eat animals. So why would he give animals a central nervous system, an ability to feel pain, suffering? They mourn, they miss their parents when they get separated in the dairy industry. Why would a benevolent, loving God create these animals to have those thinking, feeling, sentient individuals? Why would he create them that way if he wanted us to then stab them and kill them and end their lives young? I believe that people, human beings, have changed the vision of God, if there is a God, for their own means, and in that process there's even in the scriptures it says thou shalt not kill. There's no asterisk saying except for pigs, chickens, cows, and some fish. Basically, even if God, I need proof that there is a God to say that God says that we can eat animals. Even if He said we should, even if He said we can, doesn't mean that we should. It's a choice. You don't have to eat them, and the more positive and thing to do and compassionate thing to do is to not eat them. Right, next one. Animals are bred for a purpose. Yeah, they are. They are forcibly bred. They are forcibly bred against their will. The females are forcibly bred against their will in most cases. And then they have their children taken away from them a lot of the times, and families are separated for a purpose. I would say that purpose is backwards and is violent and immoral and unjustified and evil, really. So the purpose of breeding them to kill them for money or for a sandwich or whatever just makes no compassionate sense to me. So they are forcibly bred. They are forcibly bred in their billions they're not even all eaten, but basically yes, they are. Animals are forcibly bred for a purpose that includes the process of gas chambers and artificially inseminating them. So that's not a good argument to eat them. Right. Can't we just improve the lives of animals? No, because even if we gave them an Airbnb with like a nice pool, like just imagine like a cow and a pig just chilling next to the pool, going for a swim, eating the best food in the world, and then at the end of their lives we get a bolt gun and then we shoot them in the back of the head or we chuck them in a gas chamber. It's not about like animal rights, and a vegan lifestyle is not about making the animals' lives more comfortable. It's kind of like, it's like saying, oh, we'll just give them a pillow. We'll give them an extra pillow and it'll all be all right then. What we're doing is we're missing the point that these are individuals, and we're not, by still killing them at the end of this nice life, which I don't believe exists, is the wrong way of looking at the system. We have to change the system and just not commodify animals in the first place. And then also, on top of that, the reason that animals are killed so young, so 18 months if it's a cow, 6 months if it's a pig, 6 weeks if it's a chicken. The reason they're killed so young is they're basically fattened up a lot of the time with the soya or the imported animal products, plant products. They're fattened up, and then as soon as they're big enough, they're killed. Or in the dairy industry, they're used and used and used for about, I think it's like 3 to 6 years, and then after that they're killed. It's a very weird way of doing it, and no, we can't just improve the cages for them. We have to abolish the cages and get rid of all the cages altogether. The next track that I feel like playing is, well, let's have a little look. What have we got? Let's play Life Gets Better by Ed Solo. Right, now I'm going a little bit more deeper into the pot of dreams, the peanut butter pot of dreams, Meridian's finest. Smooth peanut butter. I like smooth peanut butter personally. Crunchy's alright. I just find that smooth, get on with it better. Lasts a bit longer when it gets to that little bit at the bottom. So, this one says, human rights issues are more important. So I don't know if they are more important because there are already millions of people looking out for the rights. There's laws that are protecting the lives of human beings on Earth. But there's less people concentrating on the animals, and we kill more animals die on the planet than humans do. So I don't believe that human rights issues are more important, but this is kind of like one of those arguments that sort of, it's like a red herring. It's like a flag over here. You need to focus on this, and avoids addressing the core issue. So you can still be a vegan and be interested in other positive rights groups, human rights, and LGBT, or whatever you feel like driven to do. You can do that and be vegan and push for animal rights. Like, it doesn't. I push for human rights. I'm interested in women's rights. But I also, it doesn't take any more effort really to do both. And so human rights issues are more important. I disagree, because it's about the numbers, and there are trillions of animals that are being oppressed and less humans. But it's not necessarily about one or the other. You can do both. It's very easy. Right, the next one out of the pot is, it's traditional, it's culture. So yes, maybe it is cultural, maybe it is traditional, but I feel that it's a healthy and positive thing to do. Is one of the positive things to do is to question traditions, question culture, and see if they have any relevance today. So one example is the bullfighting that happens in Spain. Also, the eating of dogs in parts of Asia and other parts of the world. The argument could be said that bullfighting is a tradition and it's cultural. Same with eating dogs. That is cultural and traditional. But hopefully you can break it down in your own heads that just because it's cultural, just because it's traditional, doesn't mean that it has any place in modern, civilized, compassionate society. So yeah, question culture, question traditions. There's loads of traditions that are really nice and are sort of positive and add something to the world. And there are other cultures and traditions that need to be changed, and we need to create some new traditions and some new cultures. So, next one. This one says, other animals eat other animals. So yes, there are other animals in the world that eat other animals, but those animals outside of the human race, they also do lots of other things. So some animals commit infanticide, they kill other animals just because they can, not just for food. And yes, definitely there are certain animals that eat other animals, but we as a species, as a human species, we don't need to do that. Certain animals who are obligate, which means they are forced to be carnivores, obligate carnivores, they have to eat animals to survive. Human beings don't need to. They can survive without animal products, therefore it's a choice, and the more positive and logical and more compassionate choice is to choose the vegan option. Right, next one. What about farmers' jobs? So that needs a little bit more clarification. What they specifically mean is the farmers who work in animal agriculture at the moment, because there are other farmers in the world, the Vegan Organic Network and lots of other vegan farmers exist in the world. Have a look. They're already there. They're already growing vegan food. They are farmers. I believe that the system will gradually change, and I've talked about this before in a previous video, and we as a species, we evolve and we change depending on how we look at things. So some companies have fallen by, like disappeared. So mining is no longer happening in the UK because we realised that it was dangerous and there was other ways of getting heating our homes without having mines. So we moved away from that. There's other companies like Woolworths and Rover and Northern Rock, which was like an insurance company and a bank and that kind of sector. They disappeared because they didn't create enough profits and they went bust. Similarly, animal farming can have an end, and at that end we will transition farmers to grow plants so they can continue to be farmers. And there is a project already for farmers to go and get involved with. So farmers will still have jobs. The more people that eat vegan food, the more demand there is for vegan food. And the Vegan Society, through their Grow Green scheme project, are helping people make that transition, helping farmers transition to growing plants instead. Right, next one. So this one says, what if we were stranded on a desert island? The simple answer is, I'm not. What if you lived in a society where you go to the shop and you have a choice of literally half a metre, 50 centimetres, you can find some plant milk near the cow milk, or 50 centimetres away, or literally in the same building, there's plant foods. Why don't you go vegan? You have the choice. You can do it. You can live healthily. Why not do it for the victims? Why not remove yourself from a system that enslaves animals, kills them, and chops up their bodies, separates them from their families, steals their milk? What if you were living in 2021 and you could be a vegan right now? I'm not on a desert island, so that question is irrelevant. If I was, personally, I wouldn't eat an animal because I don't want to end somebody else's life. But I won't. And also I'll cross that bridge. If I ever get to a desert island, I'll cross that bridge. But for everyone else, because we're in 2021, because we generally eat food from shops, go to the shop instead. Buy vegan food when you're in the shop instead. We need to eat animal products for nutrients. That's interesting because that's not true. And I know that's not true. Anecdotally, my anecdote is that I haven't eaten animals for about 10 years, animal products for about 10 years, and I'm still living and I'm still here. On top of that, the NHS, the British Dietetics Association, the American Dietetics Association, and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics say you can get every nutrient you need from plants. So we need to eat animal products for nutrients. Tell me which nutrients and I'll find a plant source of those nutrients. What have we got here? I eat animals and love them. No, you don't. To love an animal would have their interests in your actions, the things that you do to the animals. You don't. There's interesting. You don't eat your dog. Do you know what I mean? Can you love and eat your dog? Yeah, you can, but it's almost like a non-point. Killing animals is not love. And also, the most loving thing you could do for animals is not eat them and not commodify them and take yourself out of the animal eating and animal using system. And you could rescue a dog or rescue another animal from a shelter and let them have a full life. Don't eat them at the end, and then you can love them properly. Eating animal products is my personal choice. It is. Being racist, if I was to be a racist, that would be my personal choice. The problem is that in both scenarios, I'm ignoring the victims. I'm ignoring the ones that are on the receiving end. And when we eat animal products, somebody has had to have, generally, an animal has had to die, or something has been stolen from them. And I don't believe that my personal choice should override their feelings and wants and desires. Similarly, I don't steal from other people because I might want their phone, I may want their house, I may want their car, but by stealing it and taking it away from them, I do get my personal choice fulfilled, but they are in a deficit. Similarly, when I used to pay people to kill animals, the deficit for the animal is it ends their life. My personal choice is fulfilled, but obviously it doesn't make sense. It's not a good system to be a part of. And yeah, I'll move on to the next one. My friends and family won't like me if I go vegan. Your true friends and family will like you no matter what you decide to do. Definitely regarding vegan, if they like you, if they really want the best for you, they will like you when you go vegan. If they don't like you when you go vegan, then they're not out for your best interest. They're not interested in you. They're out for themselves, which highlights something about them, liking, disliking. The core part of veganism is taking yourself out of a system that oppresses animals and kills animals. And so when people go vegan, it's a positive thing. There's lots of media spin and hyperbolic statements about vegans and all this kind of stuff. But really, what vegans are doing is what everyone should be doing. And then people get frustrated and get their backs up and get angry, because vegans are highlighting that there's a hypocrisy within their lives. So back to the actual statement, my friends and family won't like me if I go vegan. My friends and family will like me, my core, the ones that matter. Those that matter do not mind, those that mind do not matter. So with me, with my friends and family, the ones that support me being a vegan and like me no matter what, they're the ones that you should spend time with and stick with. Those that don't, I would question your relationships with them and if it's healthy for you to maintain that relationship or not. Animals would overrun us or go extinct. That's interesting. That's interesting paradox there. So they'll either overrun us or they'll go extinct. Well, the reason they won't overrun us because we're breeding them. We are forcibly breeding them. So if we stop forcibly breeding them, they won't overrun us. Will they go extinct? They might go extinct, but you have to think about the actual animals that we eat right now. The wild origins of those animals, so there's a jungle fowl and the wild cow and the wild boar, they exist, and the wild sheep, they exist in the wild still, but we've decided that we will play like this. We'll turn them into Frankensteins, we'll play with their genes, we'll hybridize them, we'll mess around with their DNA to create the ones that create the most milk or the most fat. And they don't survive. The ones that, let's say like a chicken in a a chicken in a factory farm at the moment, wouldn't survive outside of those automated synthetic environments that they've set up with the controlled lighting and controlled food and controlled feeding. The wild jungle fowl do still exist, and so even if the hybrids that we've created go extinct, the actual origins of the species will not go extinct. First of all, before we have these conversations, we have to debate whether it's right or wrong to carry on killing animals when we don't need to, and change the system one person at a time. Right, so plants feel pain. I don't know if they do. They might do, or they might not. But what I do know is that animals definitely do feel pain. And I've never met anyone who says that plants feel pain who treats animals and plants exactly the same. What I mean by this is that the human beings that say that plants feel pain will walk across a field on blades of grass, not even hesitate. But if they see a dog in the street, they will go round the dog, which says to me that in their own worldview, animals and plants are different, and that's why we treat them differently. So do plants feel pain? I don't know. Do animals feel pain? Yes. Can I survive without eating animals? Yes. We're doing animals a favour by giving them a life. Interesting. We're doing animals a favour by giving them a life. A favour. I don't think that's true. They don't. If they were never born, they would never know that they were born. So, but the reality of a chicken's life is that it's bred, it's left in a corrugated shed with thousands of others. Just Google a factory farm chicken, or even the free range ones, because they all come from barns, really. They might leave the door open for 45 minutes and then call it organic, but they all come from barns, and then they're killed after 6 weeks. So 6 weeks, and also their bodies are really deformed, and they're overfed, and they can't really support their own body weight, and their legs snap. And then the majority of chickens in the UK are put into gas chambers. So I don't think that's a favour. Doing animals a favour would be allowing them to live their whole lives, and you can do that. You can allow animals to live their full lives, and you can support them with it. You can go and work at a sanctuary, volunteer at a sanctuary, create your own animal sanctuary, and allow animals to live their whole lives. It's the food chain. Interestingly, I spoke to somebody the other day who was, he also believed that there was this food chain that would justify eating animals. And my current question is, which food chain do you mean? Do you mean Asda? Do you mean Sainsbury's? Do you mean Tesco? Do you mean Aldi? Do you mean Lidl? Do you mean Waitrose? Do you mean any of the other food chains that's where we get our food from? And the reason I ask which supermarket he's talking about is because this notion of a food chain is a myth. It's as much of a myth as unicorns and what else? The Tooth Fairy and Santa. All of those do not exist, and are their fairy tales. Similar to the food chain, we don't. Well, technically, we do have a food chain. We go to the shop. Somebody grows the food, or somebody grows food and then fattens up animals. They kill the animals and then they put them in a fridge and wrap them in plastic, and then people eat that, or they can just eat plants. So that is a food chain, but saying Asda doesn't justify killing an animal. Do you know what I mean? Asda though, food chain though, like it's a baseless argument. It doesn't make any sense. And why not? Like, yes, this food exists, but why not choose the more compassionate option, which is plants? Right, coming to the end. Right, I am coming to the end, but I'm just going to play one more track before the end. I like the taste, and I couldn't give it up. So, I like the taste of animals. I like the taste of cheese. Genuinely, I like the taste of milk as a human being. I didn't think I could give up either. But what I found is that there are many options that taste really similar to what I used to like. And with time and with practice, I gave up. And when we say that animals taste good, what we're actually saying is that their whole entire life is lower than a priority than my taste buds, or your taste buds, or your friend's taste buds. Our taste buds, this taste pleasure, this tiny momentary experience, is worth ending the life of another animal short, taking away their life, taking away this experience for them, for a taste pleasure. It's just crazy, isn't it, really? And I couldn't give it up. That's a mindset. You can give up anything you want to. It just takes effort. And it's a belief. I couldn't give it up is a belief. You can. You just have to do it. Right, last but not least, we're more intelligent. Human beings are more intelligent than animals, therefore we can eat them. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense, but I will hear it out and discuss it. So what that person is saying is that because somebody has a higher IQ or a higher ability to do certain things, their life, their wants and needs are more important than somebody else with a lower IQ. So the problem is that whales and dolphins can swim underwater and navigate through seas and migrate from one side of the planet to the other, and they can some underwater animals, some animals use sonar to navigate, which human beings cannot do without technology, which says to me that those animals are more intelligent than humans. I've met some really unintelligent human beings, and I've met some intelligent human beings. But just based on their intelligence, for me, isn't a justification for whether I should kill them or whether I should eat them. Why not focus on, can they feel? Do they feel sad? Do they mourn? Do they miss their parents? When you separate a calf from its mother so that we can steal the milk, do they suffer? Do they mourn? Do they get sad? It doesn't matter how intelligent they are. If your intelligence doesn't aid or inhibit your ability to feel, feelings and intelligence are more often than not separate things. So it's not whether somebody or something is more intelligent or somebody. I shouldn't say something because that puts animals as products, but somebody. So me and a pig. If I can do better on an IQ test than a pig can, then am I worth more than them? Or is it a completely redundant argument because we both want to live out our lives, so it's the wrong question. It's not who's more intelligent and we are more intelligent, therefore we can do whatever we want, like might makes right, doesn't make any sense to me. It's more about, can they suffer, what do they want, and is there another choice? So we don't need to kill them based on intelligence, and because we can conceptualize and think it through and think about compassion and love and what we would like. You know what I mean? Okay, I want to live my whole life and have nice things and live a comfortable life. Therefore, I will grant that to the other animals who share this planet with us, when it's a really simple thing as to just eat something else. Cook them a meal, you know what I mean? Make some plants and share it with an animal. Don't eat the animals, is the kind of like the conclusion of the intelligence argument. But I mean, it gets, with using these different arguments, you do get into some very strange places, you know what I mean? So like, if a human being is less intelligent than me, or I find somebody that is more intelligent than me, are they allowed to kill me, and vice versa? Obviously you would say no, and like I said, there's certain animals on the planet that are more intelligent than human beings, and so it's a kind of a non-argument. It shouldn't be about how intelligent they are. It should be about, can they suffer, and is there another option, and what's the best for them, not what's the best for me solely. What's the best for us, essentially. So there were my responses to the Earthling Ed 30 common topics or questions that get presented to vegans. Earthling Ed has loads of really awesome videos out there, and his ebook, which this came from, is really awesome. And also, it's a free download, so go check out Earthling Ed's free download. Like I said, if you go to my blog and just search Berty's blog, Earthling Ed, you'll also be able to find links to a more condensed version of his book, a more quicker answers. But overall, I hope this was helpful to people. I hope it was insightful, looking at things from a slightly different angle, and hopefully within you listening to this show, you'll be able to now take a more sort of questioning mindset to the rest of the world. Say, oh, actually, why is leather so bad, or what is wrong with being a vegetarian, and how can I be more vegan, or so I've taken out dairy to start off with, but I still eat meat. Which meats can I take out? And look at becoming a vegan along your own journey. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope everyone has a lovely day. Bam!